When your spouse upsets you, what goes on in your mind at that moment? When the love of your life says or does something that hurts you, where does your mind go in the next few minutes? The answer to these questions may be a major secret to your level of satisfaction in your marriage. Research has proven that one of the distinctive traits of happy couples is that when they are hurt by their spouse, both individuals instinctively believe the best of their spouse rather than the worst. On the other hand, couples who instinctively believe the worst when their spouse hurts them tend to have turbulent marriages. If every time your spouse hurts you, you believe that they have done it intentionally to hurt you, you will find it difficult to trust your spouse and be happy in your marriage. It takes a huge weight off the relationship when you start off from the basis that your spouse loves you and has your best interests at heart. They may not always get things right, but if you believe that their intentions towards you are noble, regardless of the outcome, it takes unnecessary pressure off your spouse. Rather than constantly trying to prove their love, they can simply focus on loving you. When you start off thinking that way, the business of loving you becomes so much easier. If you start off believing that your spouse loves you and has your best interests at heart before they have the opportunity to prove it, it will radically transform your view of your marriage. It can be exhausting to constantly have to prove your love to a spouse before they will believe it. People who succeed at marriage believe the love before it is proven. 1 Corinthians 13:7 puts it this way: love bears up under anything and everything that comes, is ever ready to believe the best of every person. Its hopes are fadeless in all circumstances, and it endures everything without weakening. Believing the best about your spouse keeps your heart alive with hope, even when your relationship goes through trying times. There are also 3 very definite benefits when you habitually make positive assumptions about your spouse. Firstly, you will resolve conflict quicker because conflict is easier to resolve when you start off on the same team. A harmonious marriage depends on the perspective that it is you and your spouse against your problems rather than you against your spouse. Entering into conflict situations with the positive assumption at the back of your mind would temper your reaction to your spouse's actions. It changes the dynamic of the conflict from a negative blame game to a positive learning opportunity that can be resolved through constructive dialogue. It diffuses the need for your spouse to be defensive because they start off knowing that you will give them the benefit of the doubt in every situation. Secondly, you will increase your feeling of well-being. Your feeling of well-being in your marriage increases when you start off with positive emotions, positive assumptions. Negativity sucks the joy out of marriage and it makes your spouse less attractive to you and you less attractive to your spouse. It erects barriers between you which hinder intimacy and the free flow of communication. When you view your spouse positively, your marriage will feel more pleasant, even if your circumstances have not changed substantially. What you expect is what you experience. If you're constantly negative about your spouse, you're unlikely to feel positive about your marriage. When you choose to take control of the narrative running in your mind regarding your spouse, refusing to dwell on negative thoughts, your marriage begins to change for the better. Thirdly, you'll be more thankful. A positive mindset will help you switch from being a hard-to-please critic to a grateful spouse. When you assume that your spouse means well, you're more likely to notice the effort, no matter how imperfect, that they put into trying to please you. Appreciating your spouse's efforts and finding things to praise comes naturally when you focus on the positives about them. So keep your eyes on the positives and limit the negativity. Smarter decisions lead to better relationships.